I did miss one thing, the Oliver permit motion and second, do you remember?
I believe I motioned.
Okay, thank you,
Second, yes, sir.
thank you.
You got Deb and Neil on the motion?
Yes, I do know. Okay, we're 5 and it's working.
We're good?
Yes, thank you.
All right, moving on to open forum. Anyone here to speak on a topic not currently on the agenda? Let's see who's back
Mr.
there.
Setzafont, Mr. Paul, Mr. Paul.
You want me to come forward?
Absolutely, welcome.
Have a chair. Please.
First, in charge of taking a 10-minute conversation to a 2-hour conversation, if you like. No? Well,
Sorry.
anyway, I stopped in and talked to Tracy earlier this morning, and we started visiting about a few things, and Dawn and I are the only two that are on the cemetery board. And, they mow out there really well, they do a good job, but I'm concerned with the dandelions that we've been having year after year, not only there, but all the other parks. And we sat and we talked about that for a while, and I had indicated that I'd like to see that the cemetery and any of the city properties get sprayed in the fall, because your dandelions actually germinate in the fall. All the dandelions that are yellow right now germinated last fall, and if had it been sprayed, they wouldn't look like yard. You see a lot of professionals that spray around town, and that's why there isn't any. The next batch will come after they do some more seeds and get out there. And one thing led to another, and I said, I think with the splash pad coming, and the park out south, and the park out north, and the Lions Park, and the ballpark, and the new splash pad plus the ice skating rink, I think the time has come to maybe the council, maybe next year or soon, should indicate or possibly think about getting a park supervisor. I'm not saying that it would be full-time or anything like that, but something for the summer. Maybe a college kid or a physical education teacher from the school or something like that, that could coordinate a lot of things that are going on in the community as far as the parks concerned. I think the maintenance department does a good job of what they do, but there's a lot of things that they can be doing other than mowing lawns and stuff like that. That maybe you could have a high school kid mow. John, I think your husband mows now and does a real good job, but and could still do that. But someone that could coordinate what's going on with all the parks. Just what I threw out, and she says, why don't you come to the council meeting and throw it out there? Might come up.
Are you volunteering?
No,
Because I just wasn't clear.
no, you see, I'm wearing working clothes, something that you're probably not familiar with. So I have other things that I have to do.
The straight face, he says that.
Thanks for stopping.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Don't we spray for dandelions?
I thought we did spray for dandelions, did we not? Have we ever?
In the spring, for sure.
How long ago has it been since we stopped doing that?
I'll have to ask my spray guy, ask him to get back to you.
Okay. Good topics. Thank you, Paul. Anyone else to speak during public forum? If not, we'll move on to the Sheriff's Office quarterly update. Deputy Sweeter.
Hello,
Welcome.
guys.
All right.
I don't have a ton of stuff to share. I took a look at our contract reports. Averages look pretty good for January, February, March, and April. Just over 60 per week for each of those 4 months. We had our cleanup days. I wasn't able to get over here last week. I talked to Tracy earlier about it. Sounds like we had a really good Wednesday and a little bit of a slow Thursday for cleanup, but it sounded like we collected a lot of stuff, got a lot of junk out of town, so I think it was another successful year for sure. So we do have another round of blight or survey of our blight properties coming up. It'll be the end of next week that we'll do our survey, and then second letters will go out after that based on our on our survey. So, is there any questions about that?
So the first letters went out and then it's they have 30 days,
Correct.
correct?
Yeah.
So then would the city need to take any action on those that are still non-compliant?
So what we've done in the past is we do that initial list, they get letters. We give them 30 days, we do another assessment and an additional letter is sent at the end of that second letter being sent, then we'd be looking to take action with a citation or any other action.
What would you like to see done differently from a passerby driving by and you see an old freezer sitting out back and you immediately think it's been sitting there for years. But then the homeowner says, but it's not junk, we use it for storage. How are we handling that? Do we ask them to paint it? Do we ask them to do something to somehow let the neighbors know that it's actually being used for a purpose and it's not just sitting there because they haven't hauled it away?
Yeah, that's a tough one because it's up to interpretation of the property owner as to is that junk or is that something that they're actually using? So, we appreciate phone calls. I know in this first round of letters, we took a ton of phone calls. A lot of them were good, some of them not so great, but that's pretty typical. So, to answer that question, I don't know. what
I
we
think the
can add.
dilemma is the homeowner knows what they're using it for,
Right.
but the neighbors may not know, or anyone that's driving by saying, well, how come they can have that piece of, old appliance sitting there for years and years and nothing happens to it? It's
Yeah.
just, it's perception,
Mhm.
so we maybe wanna ask them to somehow specify or.
Yeah, I don't know how we would mark
Something.
something like that or make it so it wasn't a violation of city ordinance. I'm not sure.
Thoughts?
Yeah.
Any other questions for the sheriff's office?
Thank you.
Do we have some on the list that have been habitually?
Find habitual.
Well,
We have some that are on the list every year, but there's a lot of them that are on the list every year who just need that first reminder to go, oh yeah, I should clean up my stuff. I think we've done a pretty decent job dealing with those few that have been really a thorn in the city side as far as the ordinances go. So I don't see, I don't know that there's anybody on the list at this point in time that is going to be a major issue like we've had in the past.
So does the sheriff have the new ordinance? that
Yes.
includes, okay,
Yes,
includes commercials, okay.
yes.
So the letters go out to commercial.
I believe
So
Tracy's.
we sent a blanket letter that we've sent
Yeah,
every year
yeah.
to the commercials. And we sent both the original ordinance and the amendments to them, so that way they are all aware of it now. So once they do second round or so, then they can start looking at them.
Yes.
all right. There's nothing further. Thank you.
Thanks very much, guys.
Moving on to item number 3, discussion on the zoning ordinance violations in the central business district. What have we looked into where we're at with, like, who has been grandfathered in? Do we have any specifics on? Oh, yes?
No, not necessarily specifics on it, not that, not at this time. It's to what's what. I had received a phone call from, one of the people that were sent a letter, and they wanted to come and speak with the council. Mr. John Byrne. Sure. So,
Okay, sure, come on up, welcome.
Hey, Steve.
Okay, this has to deal with 105 and 115 property. Okay. To start with, we are temporary living there. It's not gonna be a permanent residence. And the reason why we are there is because Joyce is starting that online business that she has going, and being the greenhouse is attached to the property, I am fixing it up so that it looks nice for the community, plus I'm doing a lot of work on the building as fixing the parts that are deteriorating, put it that way, so it's, doesn't fall apart. And I know when we moved in, we went through the process of getting a variance to live there temporary, which you guys denied, but we moved in anyway. But that's reasoning why we're there. And it's not to make it a permanent residence, but I don't feel it doesn't justify my time driving back up to Lake William every day when I was doing vegetables this spring, I need to be there 24/7 to take care of them. Make sure there was heat in there so they didn't freeze and stuff like that. So,
So what do you consider temporary? What is the time frame you're looking at?
I'm looking at maybe 2 years, whatever it takes. You know, I'm retired, I'm old, I don't work as fast as I used to. I do have people that are knowledgeable on what needs to be done, so I get their help. And everything, I'm not putting it together cheaply, I'm making sure that it's, what I do will last, another 50, 100 years, whatever it takes. The building's 100 years old plus already, 120 years old, so I'm looking at the shape it's in, it's still in nice shape, so I want to keep it that way so that when I do, it comes time that the business is, it's not going to be you're not going to get rich doing it, but it'll be good I believe it'll be good for the town.
I guess my question is, if you're using that greenhouse and you're going to start plants in there every year and you have to be there 24/7 to watch them, then it's not temporary. I mean,
Well,
the plan is to be there all the time.
Well, that'll just be in the springtime when that like from this year, I started them in March, which them plants are doing really well. I plan on having a little stand out front next Sunday to sell what I have. And so that it'll only be from then until, say, from end of March till May. And then, not saying I'm gonna be there all the time, but I'm gonna be there enough so that they don't lack and wilt, or, they don't get the care they need. You know what it's like when you.
And I'll be honest, I would consider that temporary if it were just for a short period of time. I don't consider 2 years temporary. That's pretty long-term in my eyes.
Right now it's a lot of that is fixing up doing work on the buildings. And I noticed the greenhouse now, it looks like somebody had backed into a corner of it. I don't know when it happened. I didn't pay, I guess when we were buying the place, I seen it, but it wasn't that drastic. But what's happening is the water's draining down into the block. In the winter, it's freezing, so it broke the block. So now that has to be addressed.
I guess in my eyes, I understand you don't want to drive back and forth,
Well,
but
it's
we all
a
go to
waste.
work every day. We
Well,
live
I
at our
understand.
place of employment because we don't want to drive back and forth
I
every day.
understand that.
So,
But it's not a full-time job, but it is right now, but it's not like it's a full-time paying job. I'm putting my time, my energy, my resources into it, I source all resources where I can. It's not like I'm a rich man. And if I was, I probably wouldn't have bought the property to begin with. But it worked out for the situation that I'm in at the time. And if I can't have that variance for the time being, it'll probably be like every other building that nobody's gonna take care of it, it's gonna dilapidate, and you don't want your storefront
I don't
downtown to
recall
look like that.
what
So I'm just asking for a little compensation or,
the original
Variance.
variance, I don't recall how that read. I don't recall that requesting a temporary. Was it, I don't recall what it said.
It was
well,
under-
that wasn't really put in there as a temporary right now, it was just a place to live until I got.
But the
other
original
things
one,
going.
when you bought the property and you turned in the paperwork and the council denied it.
Right.
Oh, please, come on up. Thank you.
When we looked at the property, we were led to believe it would be okay to use part of the property as a residence. It
Who
was
told you that, if I can ask, please?
the realtor that we were dealing with. And then pretty much everybody else that knew we were coming into the community knew we were gonna be using part of the property as a residence. No one ever said anything to us at that time. It was only after the fact that, that was brought up. As a matter of fact, even the attorney's office, when we were there signing the paperwork, said, make sure that you homestead the property, since it would be, used as a residence. Then,
I guess the
After
question
we
is, it
found-
wasn't a residence prior to that, though.
well,
It was
right, most
strictly
of these old
business.
buildings that people are living in down here now were businesses before. Otherwise, they would just be abandoned derelict buildings, since there's not a lot of businesses moving into town. How many small towns around us do we see these abandoned derelict buildings? Only because maybe of an old statue, stating that nobody could live in that, where maybe somebody was allowed to live in the building and take care of the building. It would be another part of the community.
And I would agree with you on that. That is, it's a very, it's an old ordinance.
And so
Maybe it's
that
time the
leads
council,
to,
we need to discuss that.
the
and
quilt
decide.
ladies having 3 of those buildings. Times are changing, businesses are changing, things are going to online. You're not having as many walk-in brick and mortar stores, which the quilt business is a perfect example of. That's why the ladies sold the other 2 buildings, because all of their business practically is online now. So with times changing, that was the whole issue of the ordinance being requested to change, was to maybe think about updating it to where people could actually, by city code, live in some of these abandoned buildings and be part of the community instead of having vacant buildings. So that's it. Because I don't think we would have ever bought the property had we been informed right off the bat that we would not be able to use part of it as a residence.
Well, we had the previous owners here at last month's meeting who stated very clearly that when they sold it, the full intent was business, commercial only. And they were not aware it was going to be used as a residence. So
So like when they told the real estate person that it was supposed to be sold business,
I don't know
Oh,
what their
because it
conversation was
was-
between them and
you know, the
realtor.
conversations that we had with them, nothing like that was ever discussed. So,
This is your primary residence right now.
yes.
And have you since homesteaded it? Have you-
No, we have
Because
not,
we haven't
because it's
heard,
still commercial. We're waiting, to see what, I mean, if the statute needs to be changed, upgraded because of the times, like you say. And we're only in probably a quarter of the building that's actually residential right now. And it is gonna be, if things go the way I'm trying to make, moving forward too, I want it to be a legitimate business where you're gonna sell stuff, once I get, I'm doing a lot of experimenting is what I'm doing, like with the plant seeds and the plants, and like one time I had 200 plants that it got so hot in there, it burned the seeds, so they didn't grow, so. And make it a part of the community eventually, see what involvement, maybe get a hold of the school if they have a horticulture department, get some kids that would be interested in learning different things, but I'm not at that point yet. But being I'm in town and I have this, that is my goal, to be, more community oriented and doing stuff to help the community, and being it's on Main Street, like the front overhangs starting to deteriorate a little bit there, so I'm thinking about fixing it anyway, and maybe make it a little different to make it more appealing.
And in the ordinance, it says, if you did live in the building, it had to be on the second floor. So I feel there should be some kind of ordinance to state that a partial amount of the building used as a residence if there is no second floor.
And I think that the ordinance in general, I think, needs to be a topic of discussion by the council. Anything else you'd like to add? Any
No.
questions for members from the council?
No, that's
No?
just pretty much just want to tell you where I was at on the whole thing, and
Sure, we appreciate that. Thank you for coming.
thank you. for
Thank
sitting
you.
in there.
Thanks.
Thanks very much.
Yep.
Thanks, guys.
I'll open it up to the council for continuing discussion on that zoning ordinance. It is an old ordinance, 1982. So it's been in place for a long time. I would agree with some of the points. I understand we don't want to lose our storefront area on Main Street. We clearly don't want every location turned into residences, because then you have no opportunity for business growth or to maintain growth.
Neil, did you want to talk about your?
Yeah, I think after, some discussion with the Dobmeyers, with Cody, can't pronounce his last name, I apologize, across the street, but if there'd be something that we would consider, preserving we want to preserve the storefront. So my crazy idea or whatever would be, we go the width of the building, whatever that is, and it should meet a minimum square footage. Whether that be 25 feet times the width of the building or whatever that number is, and that area is identified as a storefront. Great if it would have a store, an active business, but that it would not necessarily be required, and that we would allow people to live behind that. They could not live inside that designated area. In 1982, our Main Street looked, in my opinion, significantly different than it does today. So we can, I'll say it to you, what you did is wrong. Appreciate, but it's an old ordinance, and we want to preserve a storefront for what? I don't know, maybe we'll be inundated with applicants for people that want to start a business in town, but if not, and we kick Mr. Dobmeyer out, and we kick this other gentleman out, and we go through that process, we could end up with two buildings. And to Joyce's point, that they'll become dilapidated, nobody will be there to take care of them.
Could
So-
maybe add it to an amendment to the ordinance, it would be a conditional use, not just flat out anybody who come, they would at least have to come and get conditional use permit from the
Yeah.
city council.
And I think
So
Tracy
you'd have
said,
some idea of what's supposed to happen,
yeah, I mean, it was, as I understood, it was always your intent to have this online store. That from the very beginning.
Yep, that was the main.
That was,
reason.
and we said it should be a retail store. Right? I think that was what, I think our.
I think
recall.
we said we just didn't want it turned into storage or a warehouse.
Well, I see as time goes on too, once the business gets rolling good, I mean, there'll be times that it can be open for,
Sure.
store walk-in business, like certain times of the day or certain times of the season, like when we have the Bird Island days, or there's something going on, we'll definitely
Try to
enhance
participate, participate.
participate, yeah, make it.
I haven't got it completely in my mind, but I think just conceptually, I think it'd be something I'd like the council to consider. Not that you would live in the very front of it, we designate
Right, yeah, no, we.
25 feet by
We're in the
25
back.
feet, and
We're
that's,
in the, actually,
Yeah.
the 115 is where the greenhouse is in the back. Basically, that whole building
Yeah.
is office, business.
so we're,
The other building, only half of that is what we're utilizing as residence space.
my thought would be somehow that, 30 years from now, when you guys decide to sell, somebody wants to come in with a business, that there would be, it would be a storefront available,
Oh,
right?
yeah,
That's kind of
that's-
like,
Yeah, we're
My
not changing
exact
any of that.
intent,
Yeah.
that whenever I'm done, it'll be presentable for some young entrepreneur to come in that, wants to.
so,
I like the idea. I want a storefront preserved. How that looks in the ordinance, I think it's gonna take some wordsmithing and some absolute changes in that. And I would agree, it's a conditional use permit. Regardless whether there's a second floor or not, I think it can still be a conditional use. So,
do we have, maybe, Tracy, could you send us a copy of the conditional use? Because is that already in ordinance or statute
It would be
today?
in the zoning ordinance, there's, for each district, it'll show what's allowed, what's a conditional use, what's not allowed, right?
Yeah.
So the piece that you had sent us, this is like,
So this would be the ordinance. Okay.
could you send that to us? Or if we don't, I think what I remember getting from you was just that permitted uses stuff that when we were talking about the one across the street,
Yeah,
or the B1.
yeah, and so there was the uses allowed, and then underneath that further, if you were to read further down in the section, there was, yeah.
If you don't mind, maybe it's already, is it already there? No, so
The,
we'd have to tweak it?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah. What you're wanting is not there, but you
okay.
have to add it to in the.
I don't know, I think it's something for us to talk about.
I think we should just start playing with some amendments to that ordinance and write that in and see how it looks and I think it'll take some time and we'll have to keep tweaking it from there.
For the purposes of Steve and his letter that gave him 30 days, which is passed, what do we do? We put it on hold until?
Well, as I said in the past, that 30 days is just a blanket time frame for all city ordinance violations. I think when you're talking about people having to relocate and physically move versus cleaning up a property, 30 days is not accurate, or adequate. I'm not opposed to granting additional time for the council to figure out logistics. Any other comments, concerns? Any-
I agree with
Thoughts
what Neil was
on-
going on there. Kind of like, did you ever get a tour of Cody? What do you,
No, we didn't go over there.
where Penny cut her hair, that's his business and he lives in the back. So.
Okay.
So what you were describing,
That's what he's got going over
what he's
there
trying to
also.
do, yeah. I
Anyone
would like to-
adamantly opposed to the idea of amending the ordinance to show that conditional use?
I think it'd be good, personally, I think we should send a letter, kind of either withdrawing our action or offering an extension, so that it doesn't look like if somebody goes past 30 days that on a different type of violation, that they might look back at this and say, well, you did it for Steve, or just assumed you do it for us. I know, that's just a thought. We're not trying to be difficult. We
No,
really are
no.
not trying to be difficult, so.
We have to remember that we're setting a precedence too.
Yeah,
And we want to be careful of that. I would agree with that. I think if we need to send some type of letter saying this is what the council's working on, and so consider this an extension until such time as a decision is made.
And we'd send that to the two people that got the
I
letter,
got the
right?
letters previously. Then they have something concrete too.
Yep.
Rather than just word of mouth that this is what's happening.
Yep, thoughts?
No, I'm good.
We need a motion for Tracy to draft that letter, or are you good just to do it, Tracy? But I suppose we really probably need to rescind the letter that we sent, which, it said 30 days. I'm
I
thinking,
think we need a motion on sending an updated letter extending until such time as the council decides on an amended ordinance. Yes, no,
Well, you can,
okay.
I can hear motion too. That sounded great.
I'll second what the mayor said. I think it's good.
Yeah.
I think it's a good,
Any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
thank you. Thanks for
All
coming.
right, thank you for coming. All right, engineering update on the attached task orders.
Right.
Welcome. Come on up.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay. Here we go.
Right, is that
That's the same.
updated? Oh,
Oh,
This was in my packet.
Yes.
I know.
Neil just
I-
like snapping it.
Please.
I
Thanks
printed it
so much
off.
enough colors, we can look at two of them.
There you go. Okay, we'll start by talking about Cherry Avenue Storm Sewer Project. We can fill in the blanks on what I had previously sent Tracy. We opened two quotes today that were received, one from Schmidt and one from Jerpy. The quote from Schmidt was for the amount of $71,388. That was the low. And from Jerpy was $124,356. So seems like there's a significant discount available for being in town doing work already. That's what it kind of feels like. Both contractors did take a look at the project and reviewed it with Dave and get kind of an understanding. And so like, I don't think anybody doesn't understand the project or anything. Kind of looking at their unit pricing, between the two, I can make heads or tails. Between those two and what I'm estimating, it's a little all over the place. That's just all with how the contractor puts their bid together. There's not really a lot of opportunity for different quantities on this, so there's not really a lot of sensitivity to, oh, hey, it seems like there's a little more. I don't think anybody's trying to pull a fast one or anything. That makes sense.
Would this then be, if I can, would this be for on the list, everything pertaining to Cherry or just number one?
Just number one.
Just number one.
Okay,
Yep. Yeah, one,
that fits mine.
correct.
All right, thank
Yep.
you.
Yeah, that one block of storm sewer on Cherry between 9th and 10th.
Okay.
So the money we would use to pay for this would be under the stormwater fund? We have $103,097. What was the engineering fees for this?
Oh, you have to ask me. I don't have that one with me.
That was sweet stuff.
I remember they were very modest.
I was wondering if the 100.
Dave doesn't agree with us.
Whatever 103,000 minus 71,388 is.
And you had to transfer money then, I guess, that wasn't enough. So you recommend to go with the Schmidt bid?
Yeah, yep, so our recommendation would be to accept the quote from Schmidt for 71,388 and to enter into contract for construction of the project. And then the kind of the next steps there, we'd issue notice of award, so that would be one that would be issued after accepting it tonight. We'd get back in touch with them and get rolling on contract paperwork, collect their insurance, and bonds, and all that sort of thing. And once those are received, then the next step would be to issue the notice to proceed, and then they would get started. And so my thought here tonight would be to take care of issuing that notice of award, getting that notice to proceed signed and ready to go, so that that can be issued once we receive the signed contract documents from you. Schedule wise, this fits in with the schedule that's needed for the project. Remember the deadline we're racing against is